Well, a warm welcome to this Vintage Farmhouse Antiques video presentation where we're going to show you a Royal Albert pattern called Haworth. In front of you is a part tea set, a small tea set collection made by Royal Albert in the Haworth pattern sometime probably between the late 1970s and the late 1980s. The production period for Haworth is a little unclear at the end of production, whether it ceased in 86 and was still being sold by Royal Albert from existing stocks right the way through to the early 1990s. We suspect that's probably true. Let's have a look at some of these pieces in more detail. Well, let's start with these side plates because they so beautifully show us the Haworth pattern, which is this slightly pink and white floral design. I'm not certain whether it's supposed to be a Christmas rose, a dog rose, or some form of a flower, but it's beautifully performed here by Royal Albert. You can see the larger motif and then three other smaller blocks of pattern on the transfer plate. The mould in Haworth, although it's quite a sort of modern mid-20th century design and pattern, just look at this scroll detailing and this really retrospective design, which is even more pronounced on the dinner plates in Haworth. It was almost always produced with this china mark on it, the Royal Albert Bone China, England, Haworth in red, and a 1982 copyright symbol. Now, it's very likely that Haworth was produced prior to the copyright protection being introduced to the pattern, but by this period, Royal Albert had learnt the lesson from Old Country Roses being so popular and so copied by its competitors that they introduced the copywriting, which was really a more modern form of protecting the pattern as opposed to the older RD numbers that you'll see on much older china. These plates are in beautiful condition. Just look at the rich 24 karat gold gilt decoration around the rims. Absolutely superb and so typical of this design. The teacups, if we just move one of those into show, quite a tall, rib moulded. This is relief moulded and pedestal base, not the footed base that we're about to see on the sugar basin and teapots, but just look at the detailing that they put into this handle. And this partly explains why it's a very delicate design and pottery generally. To find things in good condition, they are prone to damage and breakage due to the fineness of the moulds. Let's move on to this little milk jug. Absolutely typical of oblong early design. This could have been moulded by Spode in the 18th century, couldn't it? Footed, gilt decoration by the decorators, simple characteristic china markers we've already shown you, but just look again at that handle. How that has survived since the mid-1980s is, well, it's been well looked after. I don't think this particular set's been used at all. Again, relief moulding all around this lovely big bulbous opening and pouring spout. A lovely thing to use and a really delicate mould design. And that's reflected on the sugar basin. Again, oblong, early retro design, bulbous, almost Montrose, isn't it, in its shape. Not deeply pedestal footed, but certainly relief pedestal footed around the base. And again, a lovely open, could almost use this as a pouring jug as much as a sugar basin, but this is the open sugar basin from the tea set. And then the final piece, the pièce de résistance in this set, and the rarest of all the pieces that we've got to show you today, is this teapot. That's better. It's quite a big thing to get in. Let me remove the teacups from behind so we get that lid in relief. Just look at that loop handle with the little fleur-de-lis thumb support on it. A retaining lip, finely moulded, a beautiful 2.5 pint teapot. Again with this large outer rim, finely moulded handle and pedestal foot with the Haworth pattern all around the outer aspect in beautiful relief moulding on this slight, it's irregular, it's bulbous there and then these little ribs come in. It's a lovely thing. Fine spout, beautiful gilt retention, it's in incredible condition. This, as I said, is the rarest piece. They as you can see, was so prone to damage. And Haworth was not made in the numbers that Old Country Roses or some of the other Royal Albert patterns were, but it's still out there and it's still one that's worth looking for and collected. And it's possible to put both tea services and dinner services together without a great deal of searching. You can find these pieces, but do check the condition. As I say, this is, because of the beautiful moulded designs and shapes used by Royal Albert, quite a delicate piece of bone china, and you need to make sure that the condition is right if you are looking at purchasing Haworth. There we go. I hope that's sparked your interest in a pattern by Royal Albert that you may not well have been aware of, but is one that is coming back into fashion in terms of its design, its subtle muted palette, and that rich gilt on those wonderful shapes. It's something quite unique and well worth seeking out. Thanks for watching.